Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having a great day today. Today I'm taking a look at the first book in the Kane of Old Mars trilogy called City of the Beast. It's 114 pages long, and actually it starts on page 4, so it's really 110 pages long. I just finished it again for the second time, doing a deep dive into it, and I read it over 3 days. And I figured I would do 40 pages a day. But then I didn't even do 40 any day because each day was a little bit less than 40 because the chapters were ending. It was like 35 pages one day and then 38 another and then 37 the final day. And then I knocked it out pretty quickly and enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. This is the second time I've read this in this series for you folks. It's in the Sword and Planet series. It is heavily influenced by Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter of Mars series that creates the Sword and Planet series, a subgenre of science fiction, which is low on the science fiction parts, and has you adventuring to other planets in the solar system and that sort of thing, like Venus and Mars and so forth. And this one, Kane of Old Mars, is in that context. I bought this book's trilogy, which I'll link to you in the comments below. I bought this online from Amazon when I was doing a deep dive into Michael Moorcock's stuff when he was my favorite author in college, in the first couple of years of college. And then, so I bought it, but I never actually read it until I was doing a deep dive into his stuff again a few years later, after H.P. Lovecraft became my favorite author. And so, I went back and read it, and I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun for you folks. So I figured I'd go back and knock it out as I'm doing Michael Moorcock's other stuff since he's so influential. This is in the Eternal Champion. It's a collection by Borelius, which I picked up when I was reading all this stuff, but it really doesn't feel like an Eternal Champion in the sense that it's law versus chaos, although definitely the powers that be on Mars are in the law genre, and their opponents would be chaotic in that sense, although it doesn't feel like that law versus chaos thing. But Kane of Old Mars is definitely fighting the good fight for you folks. He's definitely a strong warrior. So basically what's happening in this novel is that we find out the framing device is that Kane has just returned from Old Mars. That was so long ago. He was sent there as a matter transmitter experiment that he created because he's a physicist and he's a professor. And then he ends up having himself be after some rats and some mice are sent through appropriately through the transmitter in this laboratory that they have spent by the government for military purposes, since he was in the military in Vietnam. And this is set in 1969. He ends up going to some having himself, because there's no people that want to be the first one through, so he ends up sending himself through, and he winds up on Mars, and it finds out that he's actually in the older era of Mars. So he's thousands of years ago, before Mars died and has turned to the destruct and desolate brown planet that it is today by Mars astrologers. So that's what's happening, and then we'll also find out early on that he was trained as a fencer as a kid by one of the best fencers in the neighborhood that he grew up in Ohio, and that has kept him, and that skill will transfer to the weapons that he will embrace on Old Mars, and so he'll end up being a very strong warrior for those purposes. So there you are. He'll arrive at a continent in an area of Old Mars where good people are living. He'll have a love interest in any local princess who's running it, because her dad, the military guy, left a couple of years ago to stomp out the finals of some giant the blue giants that are these evil people that raided them pretty regularly, and they had a big raid a couple of years ago. They lost, and so the king fled out with an army, and the army's gone missing ever since, and so they believe he's been killed. So she's been, ever since that, she's taken over the kingship and the rulership of that place. So that's basically what's happening. I can get you caught up with about 4 or 5 chapters into it, as well as the framing story. So there, go ahead and leave it to it, because a reminder, keep my review spoiler free. I do like it. It's definitely derivative of John Carter of Mars. And so you can't definitely say, oh my gosh, this is like a 9 or 10, right, because of how derivative it is. But I enjoy it. It's fun. It's fun for what it is. But it's definitely, if you've read John Carter of Mars, then you'll see this in every line and everything. It's even, it's even forwarded as a dedication to Edgar Rice Burroughs, who created the subgenre of the Sword and Planet. So that's kind of cool too. So I like that too. Again, I liked it, but it's probably more like a 7 out of 10, even though it is well written. It's fast, you can read it pretty quickly. It's fun. There's a lot of great combat stuff that happens in here. So I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Have you read this short story, City of the Beast by John Carter Mars? If so, what did you think about it? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Did you agree or disagree with my 7 out of 10? As a reminder, this channel's name is The Worst Thing About New Books. A quote by a French philosopher, Jean Schubert, who said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us from reading the old ones. And so older work like this is definitely something that I definitely enjoy going out there and reading for you folks. So that's where the passion of this channel comes from. I mentioned earlier how influential this guy is in the Eternal Champion series. It's the first multiversal combat. It creates the multiverse, and actually creates the word multiverse, and so forth. So if you're reading a multiversal battle or multiversal context and so forth in today's stuff, you're getting it from this. So this is heavily influential in modern stuff. So I like going back and rereading these. This is the science fiction set trilogy for you folks. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. If you enjoyed this, why not hit that subscribe button, because there's going to be a lot more of these to follow. And then finally, I just want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video, because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, right? And we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.